Hello, students. Hope you are all doing well. And I'm Mohita Prasad. And as I told you yesterday, I will be taking up the second portion of the MN Final 6th paper. Yesterday, I had given you all a brief introduction about the life, struggles, and experiences of John Keats, a short biography. And we all know what a wonderful writer of odes John Keats was. So, before we begin with any of his odes, it is important to know what an ode is. Of course, many of you must be familiar with this literary term, but let's do a quick revision of it. So, what is an ode? Ode is a special kind of a lyric which is more dignified, more stately, and elaborate than a simple lyric. In your UG classes, you must have come across all these literary terms, and lyric, you must be familiar, is a short musical poem. An ode is more dignified and more elaborate than the simple lyric. And like the lyric, the ode also originated in ancient Greece. The Greek poet Pindar was the first to write odes, and later on the form was practiced with certain modifications by the Roman poet Horace. The word ode is simply the Greek word for song. So, the meaning of the word ode means a song, and it was used by the Greeks for any kind of lyric verse, that is, any song that was sung with the lyre, Lyre, which was a musical instrument, or to the accompaniment of some dance. However, as far as English literature is concerned, the term is now applied to only one particular kind of lyric verse. So, if we come to the definition of an ode, we can say that the English ode may be defined as a lyric poem of elaborate metrical structure, solemn or serious in tone, and usually it takes the form of an address. Address to what? To some abstraction or some quality or some person. Edmund Gosse defines the ode as a strain of enthusiastic and exalted lyric verse which is directed to a fixed purpose and which deals progressively with one dignified theme. Now, what are the characteristics of an ode? So, the English ode may be summed up as number one, it is a form of an address. Address means it is addressed to something or someone, like you have ode to a Grecian urn, something. or you have ode to some kind of a quality, ode to melancholy, or to a season, to autumn. So it is a form of an address, often to some abstraction. Number 2, it has lyric enthusiasm and emotional intensity. It is the spontaneous overflow of the poet's emotions. Number 3, its theme is dignified and exalted. It has high seriousness. Number 4, its style is elevated, and it is also quite long to allow for the full development of its dignified theme. Number 5, the development of thought is very logical and clear. And number 6, its metrical pattern may be regular or irregular, but it is always elaborate and often complex and intricate. Now, there are two kinds of odes. Number 1, we have the Pindaric ode, and number 2, we have the Horatian ode. The Pindaric ode originated with Pindar, who was one of the greatest lyric poets of the ancient Greece, and he is known as the father of the Pindaric ode. Now, Pindaric odes were written in honor of gods, or they used to be sung praising the victories of rulers or athletes of those times. Hence, they were also known as triumphal odes. Now, Pindaric odes had a fixed stanza structure or pattern, and the number of stanzas could vary, but they were invariably arranged in groups of 3, and each group was called a triad, TRIAD. Now, some of the famous Pindaric odes written in the triadic form were written by Dryden, that is Ode to Saint Cecilia and Alexander's Feast, and also by Thomas Gray, The Bard and the Progress of Poesy. And second kind of ode is known as the Horatian ode. Now, this ode was named after the Latin poet Horace, who imitated Pindar but with modifications. Now, the Horatian ode consists of a number of stanzas with more or less regular metrical structure, but without any division into triads like that of the Pindaric ode. Now, the Horatian ode could be rhymed or unrhymed. Now, this kind of ode is light and personal, without elaboration and without having the complexity of the Pindaric ode. Now, some examples of this ode are Collins' Ode to Simplicity and Ode to Evening, Wordsworth's Ode to Duty, Shelley's Ode to the West Wind and Keats's Ode to Nightingale. Now, in the hands of Keats, these odes attained their highest possible perfection. These are the finest fruits of his maturity and represent Keats at his best. All the characteristic qualities of his poetry find a full and vivid expression in his odes. Now, the 6 great odes of Keats are the Ode to Psyche, Ode to Melancholy, Ode to a Nightingale, Ode to a Grecian Urn, Ode to Indolence, and Ode to Autumn. And all of these odes have received high praises from critics. And these odes are a unique phenomenon in English literature, and nothing like these odes existed before, and in them Keats may be said to have created a new class of lyric poetry. And these odes of Keats have received or achieved a kind of perfection and have become immortal. We'll continue tomorrow with one of the odes of